Good morning, everyone. My name is Tauseef Afraz. Now, before I begin, I would like to ask everyone two questions. So please use the raise your hand or reactions feature to answer these questions. First question, who here has thought of going to space? Thank you. Second question, this is a bit different than the previous question, but who wants to go to space? You first thought about it, but now do you want to go? Understandable. These two questions lead to my research question. What will it take to settle on planets and moons and commercially travel through space? First, let me give you all a little background as to why I decided to do this research project. Ever since I was in first grade, when I went to the Johnson Space Center for a field trip, I got very hooked into space, rockets, satellites, and everything space related. Ever since that field trip, I went to Johnson Space Center around 2 more times with my family and external family. Here are two photos my family were able to find from the time we visited the Johnson Space Center. These trips to the Space Center made me realize at a young age that I want to work at NASA or anything or any space industry. I wanted to work with rockets, so that gave me a goal to become an aerospace engineer. Another quick fun fact, later this month, I'll be going to Florida to watch the SpaceX's Crew 2 launch. Now on to, which I'm very excited for. Now on to my research itself. A little bit over 50 years ago, NASA sent the first humans to the moon, as we all know as Apollo 11. Big historical moment, as we all know. Ever since Apollo 17 in 1972, almost 50 years from now, we have not sent humans to the moon. But with the entrance of space industries like SpaceX and the Artemis missions that NASA is currently working on, we have the possibility to not only go back to the moon, but to stay on the moon and also go to Mars. These are some of the rockets that will take us to the moon and potentially to Mars. We have the Saturn V rocket that took us to the moon during the Apollo missions. We have the SLS rocket, also known as the Space Launch System rocket, that NASA is currently working on for the Artemis mission. We have the China Long March 9 rocket, we have the Blue Origin New Glenn rocket, and we have the SpaceX Super Heavy booster with the Starship rocket. I will mainly be talking about the SLS rocket and Starship, as these two rockets have been popping in the news a lot recently. Let's first start off with NASA. This is a comparison of all the rockets that NASA has produced. We have the Saturn V rocket that took us to the moon during the Apollo mission. We have the space shuttle that we all know and love, that has done so many great things. For example, putting the Hubble telescope in low Earth orbit. Without the Hubble telescope, we wouldn't have the amazing pictures of the planets in our solar system, planets outside of our solar system, and other galaxies and stars. The Ares rocket was originally meant to take us back to the moon for the Constellation program, which was canceled due to budget limitations. The Space Launch System rocket is the new rocket that NASA is developing for the Artemis mission as a replacement for the Constellation program. I first just want to say Artemis is a perfect name for the mission, as Artemis is the sister of Apollo in Greek mythology. NASA really did think about that. Smart. The Artemis mission's plan is to take us back to the moon and send the first woman and the next man to the moon. This is the layout and plan for the Artemis 1 mission. Artemis 1 is an uncrewed flight mission to test the Space Launch System and the Orion spacecraft together. Artemis 1 was targeted to launch this month, but was pushed back to November in May of 2020. Artemis 2 is the first crewed flight test of the Space Launch System and the Orion spacecraft. Artemis 2 is targeted to launch in 2022. Artemis 2 will follow a similar path as Artemis 1. Artemis 3 is where NASA plans to land astronauts on the moon by 2024 and will continue to send astronauts about once a year thereafter. These are the spacesuits for the Artemis missions. In the middle is the XEMU suit, which improves on the suits previously worn on the moon during the Apollo era and those currently in use for spacewalks outside of the International Space Station. The XEMU will be worn by the first woman and the next man for the Artemis program. The suit on the right is the Orion suit. The Orion suit is designed for a custom fit and incorporates safety technology and mobility features that will help protect astronauts on launch day, in emergency situations, high-risk parts of the mission near the moon, and during high-speed return to Earth. And on the left is a suit that was used for the Apollo mission. This is a picture of Buzz Aldrin on the moon. You can probably see the similarities with the spacesuit during the Apollo missions and the XEMU suit. Now let's talk about SpaceX. These are all of the iterations of the SpaceX Starship. The most recent Starship iteration is designed to hold approximately 100 people and will have 6 Raptor engines, which has approximately 2 meganewtons, which equates to 450,000 pounds worth of thrust from each Raptor engine. This is the SpaceX suit for the Crew Dragon and the Starship. SpaceX hasn't released any images or concepts of their spacesuits that would allow you to go into space or any non-Earth surface with an oxygen tank. This suit will be the suit that you'll wear in Starship itself, kind of like the Orion suit. SpaceX's main goal is to reach Mars. This is their plan to make it to Mars. Starship will launch its Super Heavy booster, which has approximately 72 meganewtons worth of thrust. The Super Heavy booster will land back on Earth to be able to reuse for more Starship rockets. Starship will enter into Earth's orbit, and a tanker ship will launch from Earth. The tanker ship will refuel Starship, then land back on Earth. Once Starship is refueled, it will begin its journey to Mars. Once Starship has successfully reached the red planet's surface, Starship will use Mars's local resources, H2O and CO2, which will be converted to CH4 and O2 through a ISRU, also known as an in-situ resource utilization. Just to show off how Starship will refuel with the tanker ship, here it is. The tanker ship will link to Starship from the back of both ships, and the tanker ship will transfer the fuel to Starship. SpaceX has a plan to expand civilizations on Mars. The more Starships with citizens, the bigger the civilization will grow. Of course, we will have to live in bubbles since there is no oxygen on Mars's atmosphere. So with everything that NASA and SpaceX is doing is out of the way, I took a survey of 209 random individuals and I asked them, would you rather go to Mars or stay on Earth? Overwhelmingly, 68.4% of respondents would stay on Earth, while the rest, 31.6% of people, would like to go to Mars. I was surprised about this result, as I thought more people would choose to go to Mars. So along with asking individuals if they would go to Mars or stay on Earth, I asked them, why did you choose what you did? Here are some of the responses. For people that wanted to go to Mars, some people said, Earth is boring. I want to be part of something historic. Technological advancements, and why not? And for people that said that they wanted to stay on Earth, some people said, it's a one-way trip. Earth is more safe. There was nothing but sand and dust on Mars. I don't want to restart my life. With these results from my survey, it made me rethink about my research question. Instead of asking, what will it take to settle on planets and moons and commercially travel to space? The proper question should be, is the human race ready for commercial space travel? The answer to this question is maybe. Commercial space travel will always be in the news, and there will always be innovations and technological advancements toward that goal and mission. Being on different planets or moons would become a dream come true for certain people. I know it would be a dream come true for me. So before I end my presentation, I have one final question for you. Do you want to go to space? Because I know I do. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Are there any questions?